Welcome, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed your lunch. My name is Robert Wen, and I am happy that you have joined us for a little talk that I have titled Connecting JSM Services to Jira Software. My name is Robert Wen. I work for a company called ReleaseTeam as a DevOps consultant. You may have heard of my name if you've been trolling around on the Atlassian Community forums, as I am one of the community leaders there on those forums. I am also an Atlassian certified expert, and I take my knowledge and experience and help out clients of ReleaseTeam, and ReleaseTeam pays me to do that. A quick logistical note: if you have any questions as I go through this presentation, please put them into the chat. Keith, our moderator, I think you might have heard him before. There he is, big paw waving. He's going to kind of take a look at the questions in the queue, and if there are some convenient points, he will kind of interrupt me and see if we can kind of answer some of those questions in a timely manner. We have also set aside some time near the end of the presentation to have questions and answers. And if we happen to go beyond the time of the presentation, I will hang around the ReleaseTeam booth after this presentation for chatting up with you on any kind of questions you have regarding Jira Service Management, Jira in general, or any of the things that I am going to present. So I have to show this slide. I'm contractually obligated by marketing to show this slide to explain who ReleaseTeam is. And we are specialists in DevOps tools, of which there are several Atlassian tools there. We also are not exclusive to Atlassian. We also look at modern DevOps tools, such as those created by GitHub, GitLab, Terraform, you name it, Jenkins, and even some really, really old ones that, are just still hanging around. We also, for these tools, we provide sales and consulting services that might include implementations, that might include any migration work, such as, moving to Atlassian Cloud, as well as any updates. We also provide licensing. We can sell you licenses for all of these tools. And if you need bodies with a good bit of knowledge and expertise, we can provide that for any sort of staff augmentation or any sort of mentoring services. Anyway, we help provide expert DevOps support. So, yes, ReleaseTeam is a bunch of DevOps experts, right? So why am I here talking about service management? The question here is answered if we're looking at this DevOps loop. I think most people have seen this DevOps loop. Most people know that the Atlassian tools, especially Jira and Confluence and Bitbucket, can handle that first part of the DevOps loop, where we plan, we create, we test and verify, we ultimately package, and then we work with our operations kins or our site reliability engineers to help orchestrate the release. And then we can configure and monitor and maintain the solution that we have in our various environments, from testing to staging to production. Now, in this operations focus, sometimes we might see opportunities for a brand new service, or maybe we're looking at an existing service and we want to add on new features. And that's what we're kind of talking about. we want to look at going from here, this tail end of operations, back to the beginning of the loop. Now, this is going to be handled in typically three types of use cases. And all of these use cases really help out when you link Jira Service Management with Jira software. And so let's see how we're going to do that. Now, everyone knows that the new kid on the block is Jira Work Management. So why am I talking about Jira Service Management? What makes Jira Service Management that much more appealing than Jira Work Management? And I boil it down to these three features because Jira Service Management offers these right out of the box. No special add-ons, plugins, apps, whatever they call it these days. They come straight with Jira Service Management. Typically, if definitely on data center, and if you're in the cloud, definitely if you're on a premium plan or the enterprise plan. The first, there is a flexible way of getting new work from Jira Service Management. There are various means of creating issues that populate Jira. The second is we can use asset management. Many of you might be familiar with Insight, soon to be renamed to Jira Assets. Well, those services, they could be counted as assets, and they can be tracked and configured as assets. Finally, one thing with Jira Service Management is that approvals can come out of the box. You can add approvals in a Jira Service Management workflow and outline who can approve it and in what state does in which status the is next, whether it's been approved or whether it's been denied. And so let's take a closer look at those. So the first one that I want to talk about is how Jira Service Management takes new work. And generally out of the box, with some configuration, you could use these three methods. The first is you can establish a self-service portal. Your customers can go onto a specific portal link and identify what they want, and from what they want, they can create requests. And those requests get turned into issues in Jira. What happens if you don't want to use the portal? Well, you could also use email. You could send email to a specific email address, including an email address that you may have already established for any sort of support issues. And Jira can go in from a special collector it has and populate Jira issues, taking from it fields that are on the email. The third way is kind of a nice new slick way. If your organization uses Slack, or if your organization uses Microsoft Teams, you can connect a Slack channel or a Microsoft Teams channel to JSM using a feature called Atlassian Assist. This used to be Help. The one part of Atlassian Assist is already built in to JSM. The second part, the integrations, are available in the application stores for either Slack or Microsoft Teams, depending upon which of those tools you use. So the second part of why Jira Service Management, insight or assets, whatever you want to call it. With insight or assets, we can create our applications as objects, as nouns. Now, these objects, they can be of a specific object type, and each object type can describe our object using attributes. The attributes help kind of flesh out our asset or our application. They may give details about them, such as the vendor, if we're buying an application, or the team that is responsible for servicing that application. So very, very powerful way of maintaining your configurations. So we're going to dive into here. Whoops. Let me back up. So we're going to dive into here. And what I've got is I've got a little demo setup. And in this demo setup, I have created a Jira Service Management project called Project Intake. And in Project Intake, I have created two request types. I've added two request types. These request types are located on the portal. You can click on them, create your request, and it will show up as a Jira issue for the people that work that specific team, that specific the intake project. And in there, in those issues, those specific issue types are going to follow some pretty specific workflows. Now, with these workflows, this is on JSM Cloud, we have set up automation that allows the linkage between Jira Service Management and Jira software. All right. So one of these issue types was for creating a new service. And this was one that, in my mind, or maybe in the organization's mind, we decided, you know, if we're really going to do this, we need to have an approval. All right. If we're going to create a new service or a new application, we really need to have an approval. And so we've got an approval step right here. If the approval, if it is approved, fine, we're done. If it is not approved, then we're just going to hang around here. All right. Until it is approved. All right. Now, if it is approved, we're going to set up some automation. And this is a view of the automation that happens. So we're going to take a look at a transition to done. And if we see any transition from in progress to done, we're going to take a close look at the issue that had that transition. First, we're going to take a look at its associated request type. And if the associated request type is for a new application, then we're going to add our object, our brand new object in Insight. All right, we're giving a brand new application object into Insight. We're just going to create something that will get fleshed out a little bit later. Once we do that, we're going to then create an epic. we want to start development on this and start that DevOps work, that front part of DevOps work. So we're going to create an epic and assign it to a specific project for the team that is responsible for that we want responsible for this. All right. And when we create this epic, we're going to populate a few fields. We're going to make sure that all the mandatory fields are filled in, right? Also here, you will see in our demo that one of the custom fields that we have on our epic is the new application. And it is going to be a custom field that links to Insight, to the actual Insight object that we have created. All right. So that's what I propose to do when we have a request to for a new application and that application has been approved. But what if we have an existing application and we just want an enhancement to that existing application? Well, different request type associated with a different JSM issue type, which has a different workflow. This one, maybe it doesn't need an approval. Maybe it is just a simple approval. We take a look at it, we decide, yeah, we can do this, or this is going to line up with the work. Maybe there's capacity for the team that takes care of this. And so we can just move it from to do to in progress to done. Now, on this upgrade, all right, or this enhancement, associated with the workflow, we're going to set up automation with Jira. Same type of thing. We have a trigger here where we look at the transition from in progress to done, and we look at the condition. We want to make sure that this is for this automation is for a application upgrade or or our enhancement, right? So we look at that request type associated with the Jira issue type. And if it is, we don't need to create a new object in Insight. We already have it, right? So all we need to do is create our new epic, assign it to the team that will handle the enhancements, and populate some fields in this new epic. One of the things that we're going to do is, and we'll see later on in our demonstration, is that we will be able to copy the value of Insight object to the custom field that is associated with the Insight object in our epic. And so with that, we come to demo time. Before we do that, Keith, are there any interesting questions that anybody has?
Actually, a couple of them. One, okay. Cynthia's curious if anything's going to change in Insights besides the name.
Well, they are. That's a really, really good question. As far as the transition from Insight to Jira Assets, what I hope for and what a lot of JSM administrators hope for is that the cloud version of Insight or Assets, whatever you want to call it, is not as full featured as the server/data center version. And Atlassian has been promising parity. And I hope one of these days that more features come from the server data center side to the cloud side. But as far as beyond the name change, they are, I've noticed smaller tweaks, especially as I was developing this demo and actually working with Insight on for a client. So on cloud, they're continually tweaking on this.
We have another question.
Okay.
So this might be better to hold to the end because it could be long-winded. What's your best approach in transitioning a multi-department company into Jira?
Ooh, that is, I think that's going to be a little bit longer, and maybe we could hold that to the end, because I don't know if we can ask that person to speak that, because there's a lot of, there needs to be some more context to that question. How are these departments divided up? Are they separate projects? Or, so that might be better as a question for the end. I see that is asked by Tosha.
All right, we'll move on, and we'll come back to that question at the Q&A
Okay.
session.
Let's do that. All right. So at this point, I am going to change from this PowerPoint presentation to my demo environment. Do that right now. And just to make it easier to understand, I have separate tabs. I have, you'll see here, I have a tab for Insight. I have a tab for my my development group. I call them Agency One. Agency One handles all these applications. All right. I have these final two tabs are for my intake project, and in my intake project, I am looking at the regular Jira page for it. I'm also going to jump into project settings from time to time if people want to see things acted out. One of the things I also need to do is I need to raise a request. So I'm going to add one more tab. And then this tab right here are going to be my automations. So I've set up automations here because I am using my demo environment is Jira Cloud. So if you're handling workflows and actions, I really like using automation for Jira. It's so powerful and so easy to kind of configure around, kind of the low code or no code solution for this. So here's the portal, right? I've got enhancement requests. I've got new software requests. Maybe I want to have a new software request. So this is new. Maybe we need a new chat application for JiraCon 23. And you can see here that this is fully featured. With the portal, you could even set up forms, and from Proforma. One thing that is important, we have to give this we have to give this application a new name. So let's call this JiraCon Chats. All right. So we've created our issue, and our issue is actually right here as a customer. This is how I would view it. Now, let's take a look at this as a member of that intake project. So you can see here, we've got our issue type here, and it keeps telling me that email notifications turned off. That's okay. Now we might need to specify a few things. We've already seen here our new application name. We've already seen here we could do everything that we normally can do in Jira. We can create subtasks and link issues. This actually gets into that third use case. If we've ever done if a customer has found a bug, we could actually from this issue that's related, we could link an issue, create a linked issue, and specify our project. This would go to the agency 1 project, and it would probably be a bug, right? So this is how you would normally handle any sort of incident or defect that is customer facing, and that work needs to be handed off to your development team. That's the first normal use case everybody has. But I'm going to cancel this. All right. I'm going to cancel the creation. We're doing a different case. We are creating we want a brand new application. All right. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to assign it to somebody. Let's take a look at our workflow for this. This is the one where there is a application owner. Somebody needs to approve this. So there is an approval mechanism here. And for that, we need to specify the approver. And we can do so right here. So I'm just going to conveniently make myself the approver. And I think we are all set to kind of take a look at this issue. So we're going to transition this. We're going to move this from open to pending. Nothing's blocked. This is we might send a message either back to our customer or as an internal comment. And then we have to transition from pending and get approval, see if somebody will work on it. Now, we are at this stage. This is JSM approvals out of the box. Since I am the approver, or I am one of a number of approvers, I could have specified more, and I am logged in and viewing this issue, Jira is telling me that this request requires my approval. And I have two choices. I can either approve this or I could decline this. Well, let's go ahead and approve this. All right. And then we're going to see what happens with our automation. So I'm going to approve this right now. It's approved. It's done. So we can take a look at our automation, take a look at the audit log, and we can see that it created a new application. It succeeded in doing so. The issue passed the condition. Object was created. We have an object now in Insight, and we've also created our epic. So let's take a look at Insight. Insight, our configuration management database. This you can create any number of object schemas, and these object schemas hold your objects, right, of specific types. You could unite those types. You can set them up in different ways. We're going to look at our application portfolio. A list of applications, and here is our JiraCon chat that was created. Now, we could later on, we could always go in here and edit the other attributes that come in here. This is right now, this is a good placeholder. This lets us know that we have an application that we're going to develop and maintain, JiraCon chat. So we have that for Insight. Now let's jump to our agency one, our application development people, and take a look at our epic that was created through automation. All right, so we can see here the basics were filled out. We copied over the description. We copied over the summary. And on this epic, we gave it a name. All right, but take a look at here. There's a field here, application to change. This is a custom field that points to Insight objects. And what we did here was, after we created the Insight object, when we created the epic, we looked up the newly created Insight object and we added it to this custom field. And we did that through the automation while the epic was being created. So this is our use case of going from intake to creating that epic for our application team to work. All right. Our next use case, let's go back to, for our next use case, let's go back to the portal. So we're going to raise a request. What's that? So instead of a new software feature, we're going to do a feature enhancement. Again, we have other things that we can add on here. Let's add a summary. Let's see, let's call this chat threads, Sajit, no, go away, autocorrect. Really wants this, just like the last time. And we've got a custom field here in our request type, application to change. And if we click on it, this custom field is a link to our applications in Insight. And we should be able to find JiraCon chat. Maybe we want that one. And we'll create this. And that gives us our enhancement request. Let's take a look at what that enhancement request looks like in Jira as a Jira issue. Okay. So application to change, our Insight object right here, summary, description. And in this case, we're going to quickly go through moving it from work in progress and then finally to done. And we'll start progress on this. Okay. Remember, this one, if you take a look at our workflow, well, this one is a much simpler workflow, different from what I actually had on the slide, but still simpler. Does not set up approvals. And we'll go from work in progress to done. We need to specify our resolution. And then we will mark it as done. And so we're going to jump back to our automation. Take a look at the audit log. Probably refresh this. And we can see that there was success. We can see here that our issue passed. And so we've created an epic in our agency 1 queue. And let's see, let's jump back here. And there we are. Scared you, didn't I? All right, so we've got our enhancement here. And we've got in here the same thing. We've copied over from our request type, the summary, the description. And we've even included a custom field, the application to change. And take a look. Oh, this is the epic name from here. So what we're doing here is we're providing that linkage from our operations team that is working with Jira Service Management and our software development teams. They're working on Jira software. We've got linkage between the two. We've allowed the service management to create the epics that our development teams are going to use. And at this point, I am going to jump back into Slideware and basically throw up the question slide if there are any additional questions.
I think we're all still hanging on to hear the answer about integrating multiple departments into Jira.
All right, so we have about 8 minutes left. Do we know of any way of making I think Tosha, I think we can make Tosha a panelist and then she can open up her mic.
I actually think she had to leave. She sent me a private Slack, private text message saying that she had to leave for personal reasons, but we'll get in touch with us again later. But
okay. At this point, any other questions?
No, no more. Anybody have any more questions? We only have about 5 minutes left.
Okay. All right. Well, I believe in those 5 minutes, if there aren't any questions, I mean, I can always ask questions. Oh. Take the question that Tosha asked in the starting. So as far as multi-department, maybe Harshit, you could we make Harshit a panelist so that he could speak up? Maybe he's got a similar type of question. Harshit?
You should be all set to go, Harshit.
Yeah. And then, while Harshit is talking, there is a question. Are there any templates available for automation? Yes, there are. So let me, I'm going to actually jump from back to my demo environment. You can, in automation for Jira, you can always start by making your own rule or by using a library. And this is what the library shows you. It sets up specific conditions, like when issues are created or when issues are resolved, or when you hit specific thresholds, when comments are added. There are more templates available. So I'm going to click on that. And this is going to jump to the Atlassian website and see some other templates around, things to help you auto assign, sum up story points, connecting Jira and to Bitbucket, GitHub, GitLab. So yeah, the automation is really nice and it's getting better. And in fact, in Jira 9, this is kind of taken over the standard as the de facto automation tool.
All right. Just as a reminder to everybody before they cut us off here, that Bob's going to be in the ReleaseTeam booth. I'll have 20 minutes to a half hour from now. If anybody wants to stop in and ask questions or chat, talk Jira with them, you're more than welcome.
More than happy to answer any questions about Jira. Thank you all for attending. It's been fantastic. And there are some, as you can see on this slide, there are a number of excellent sessions on their way.